Hello, hello. Welcome to Venus RX. It's Lacey. This is where I talk about topics that are on my mind right now. Very into the supernatural, esoteric, or maybe just niche and weird subjects to begin with. Not a lot of normal things on my brain. I was homeschooled. But I wanted to get into, my time on the dark web. Before we begin, this might have touchy subjects such as maybe suicidal thoughts, treatment of mental illness with medication, and all of that. I might be bringing up topics like 4chan and drugs.com and and different things in this video, all for educational purposes and whatnot. Where do I begin? I think I want to start with the why and how I found the dark web to begin with. Like, how did I even find the dark web? A lot of people have asked me, and like get into a lot of things that I've gotten into outside of the dark spiritual web, where I found like hidden, meditations like the third eye mirror meditation that they pull from the web and stuff like that, and going down that rabbit hole of tarot and magic and these witch shops that are all around the Bronx, but nobody noticed. They're like, wait, I ain't even, you're right. I'm like, yes, the botanicas are everywhere. Like, and I'm like, those lights been in the sky. Let's talk about it. The Mirena IUD, ironically enough, I started the Mirena IUD as an alternative to taking birth control because I knew that me taking birth control wasn't going to be effective. Around this time, I had already had maybe a nervous breakdown. I believe I was diagnosed with ADHD and already taking Adderall at that time period too when I found the dark web. But don't get me wrong. Um, I might have been on bipolar medication too, lithium. But this is another reason why we get into drugs.com. That's the funniest one. And someone who isn't me. We use ad libs like swim. Swim stood for someone who isn't me on drugs.com. And oftentimes it would be people who were prescribed certain medications like a Risperdal and whatchamacallit, lithium, antidepressants, and we would have swimmers as our profile pictures on drugs.com. It would be divers diving into ocean or just some random swimmer here because swim stands for someone who isn't me. And oftentimes, this is why I love the doctors on drugs.com. You could get answered by real doctors who weren't judging you in certain situations. Like someone who isn't me might have smoked marijuana with my Adderall and my Risperdal. I hadn't smoked since I got out the mental institution. It'd been about 2 months, but my friend Dave came around and he kind of offered me a joint. Then I found myself smoking, and now I'm having nightmares of these little monster things. These monsters look like furry balls, like the keychain. I don't remember if you those gremlins on the keychain that was like covered in fur, but it used to have the face and the feet in them. Is how he described it, and I jumped because I saw the exact same thing there. And then I decided to make a profile on drugs.com. That's not necessarily the dark web. That's like the dark web hidden in plain sight. I don't think a lot of people will be on it unless they're prescribed certain medication. But I found that to be a fun and helpful and useful website. Then I found other places like the darker dark web, like 4chan. And what led me to 4chan was the Mirena IUD, ironically enough. Why? Because I was put on the Mirena IUD, and then I noticed I kept bleeding. Like like I was spotting throughout the whole 6 months I was on it. They told me to give it 6 months and whatnot, but not just spotting. It made me incredibly misandrous, and it made me lose my entire drive for having external activities. It made me also very depressed and very detached here. And I went through depression before, like, because I'm like, I've been prescribed antidepressants. I have to get on, yeah, I have, and then, a couple of things before. But this was a particular type of like depression where I had found myself almost having like darker thoughts of like leaving this planet. This is why I'm like, this has to be like taken lightly. I don't want to upload anything I'm not supposed to upload. I will get to into 4chan and how I found myself on 4chan um, by doing maybe the Mirena IUD detox. I had eventually gotten the Mirena removed, but my body felt like it was going through ups and downs as my mood, as my body was trying to regulate its hormones. Even my boobs were getting bigger and smaller. It seemed like my shape was changing. It's like, it was like such a up and down and hard fluctuation to manage here. I'm like, I'm still having these thoughts and it's getting like a little worse here just because everything felt so uncomfortable. I ended up searching like what to do after Mirena and whatnot. And then I found something called the Mirena IUD detox. And I found that on like maybe women's.com or scarymommy.com. It was something that was like a dark feminine website here. That's important because I found a lot of alternatives to birth control. I'm hoping I'm allowed to talk about this. I'm gonna definitely let YouTube review it. Like, but I learned about vitamin C as the Mirena IUD detox. It said you can use vitamin C, and then it gave a link to vitamin C, and then it was on 4chan. I click. It wasn't just vitamin C. It was vitamin C, penny royal tea, blue cohosh, black cohosh, and a bunch of different ways of controlling your period and how to induce a period when your period is late, if you know what I mean. How to induce a period. That's another way to get on the dark web, is to search these sort of backwards terms here, if you know what I mean. Searching something like how to induce a period, you'll figure out how to induce a period when your period is just so annoyingly late, because sometimes periods are late and they're late due to a bunch of different reasons. These are kind of what these threads were doing and saying here. And then I found myself on clicking through it because I'd never been on 4chan before. Of course, I heard about it. I heard about it like through Twitter. I'm like, oh, those 4chan guys. So I got curious, clicking around. Clicking around, I found the pro leaving the planet group. I joined a group for people who were pro leaving the planet. I almost want to cry thinking that I was that down and out. But I could tell you every now and then people from other parts of 4chan would come in and try to reason with us. They were like, don't leave this planet. Don't leave this planet. It's not worth it. Don't leave this planet, And they always had such things that lack substance here. The things they would say would just kind of make you pissed off more. They would be like putting heavy things on you. Like, think about your kids or think about your family. What is your family going to do? It's like, dang, I already think my family thinks I'm a disappointment and they'll be better off without me. Like, I'm like, that's very inconsiderate to people who are having dark thoughts. That's another thing I want to say. That's probably not the best thing to tell them, is to think about their family or think about their kids. Their kids might be actively driving them to want to leave the planet, or their family might have did some crap to make them mad. Think about my family. Well, my father, how about he molested me when I was 5? You don't know who people's family are, or just like, it was just nothing that really truly had substance until this one person came in, and he came in underneath these posts. I forgot. We had a thread going in. Let me get some. Except for this one guy. I remember 13 Reasons Why was out, and this post was writing their own 13 reasons why. This guy came in with 13 reasons why not and what to do instead. And I looked at this guy post, and this guy was totally different than the people who had tried to reason with us before. He had started out the post with, and I wish I saved it. It almost makes me want to cry. I'm like, that random person had a big impact on me and everything that I did next after that. I became a different person from this, because he said, number one, this is what he gave, was respect to our views. He said, number one, he's like, I respect that. Here, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'm pretty sure you have every reason to do it. But he said, what I'm going to do that tell you is that you're probably stupid for not doing what you want to do first. They're like, if there's anything you want to do, this is the perfect time to do it, at least before you leave this planet. And then he named like 13 things we could do before we leave the planet, or if you're going to do it. They're like, think about the people who hurt you. Call them up and curse them out. You want to slap your mom? They're like, number one, he's like, your life is in the best position it is possible. You're in your darkest place, meaning you no longer care. You no longer care about anything or life at all. Like, I'm like, and I don't go for this, thinking about how many people could have took this the bad way, but this person named things to do. Like, you could do anything. You can, if you're a girl, you're hot. You always thought about your parents not liking the idea of you being a stripper. Go and be a stripper if you're 18 years old. Go and try that drink. Slap your mom. Curse, fight the bully that made you sad in the first place. Do this. Spend all your money on a trip. Basically invoked like a manic episode. And I'm like, I thought about that. I'm like, yo, everything that I might do before I leave the planet, rather than like, yo, it got me back in there. And around the same time, I did start taking a lot of the herbs that I saw like within the dark feminine websites. I would say the vitamin C click kicked in, and it made my skin beautiful. Like, my skin still has that beautiful tight glow. I was taking up to like 3 to 6 thousand pills a day here, like, to detox myself from the Mirena IUD. I started taking collagens and different types of supplements, even down to vitamin D, vitamin B12. They had the vitamin B12 detox coming in too, because that helped you lose weight. And I did go and I got a tattoo gun. I tattooed myself because of that 4chan thing. I did call up everybody that hurt me, curse them out. I'm like, you know what? You're the loser for real. I called up my cousin, said I'm about to go dumb, let the nuke out on that. Like, I did everything I wanted to do in life. I got my tummy tuck, and then I wanted to do more and more. It did help me to get a taste for life here. I think I wanted to talk more about drugs.com and God mode. I hope I'm allowed to say that. I'm prescribed Adderall. That's not going back to the dark web. And I wanted to get past that really quickly. I wasn't going to make that more intense than it needed to be, because, like entertainment purposes, YouTube, entertainment, comedy. I'm sorry, I shuffle cards just because it's what is it? It's pleasing. But God mode, smoking marijuana and Adderall. Okay, it's something that they call God mode on drugs.com. So it'll be like someone who isn't me, and then they would talk about different jokes. I wish I could remember the God mode jokes where they were talking about what it's like to have ultimate creativity and organization here too. I remember going into God mode and tattooing this full rose thing down my leg in one day. I'm like, yo, and then I went to a lot of tattoo people to fill it in, because I have not wanted to fill anything in since that day. I overworked myself too. Oh my goodness. And me talking to professional tattoo artists, they're like, "You did that all in one day?" Nah, that's pretty good for one day. All in one day. I'm like, "How long would that take you?" He's like, "That would take me at least like 3 sessions, like maybe or maybe a week, over a week, because you know it's painful. You have to keep coming back and blah blah." I'm like, "Yo." So that could be like God mode and feeling like you were in and out of time and space. I wanted to get more into also the bipolar sub. My mic died. I had to do it again. But I was saying I wanted to get into like the bipolar subreddits too, and how I found out that that song Hotel California was dedicated apparently to a bipolar chick that got up in the middle of the night and accidentally drowned in a water tower, you know, like just due to her sleepwalking, and how that's kind of a way different. The difference between bipolar number one disorder, which I'm diagnosed with, and bipolar number two disorder, which is, I'm guessing, more of a mood disorder. Bipolar number one disorder is like one of the top psychiatric disorders, meaning like, and I have no idea which one Kanye West is diagnosed with. Like, just to let you know, his might be a mood thing. I don't know. But as far as bipolar 1 disorder, it seems to be mostly like a sleeping disorder that could cause like a psychosis. Your brain starts sleeping when it's awake. That's exactly what it is. And it's like sleepwalking. Some people who get up and eat in the middle of the night and sleepwalk, that could be like bipolar 1 disorder. And like, you know, it's different than schizophrenia. It could come from mania and you being up all night, having a lack of sleep, but your brain still needing that sleep and your body needing that sleep. So your brain shutting down even when your body refuses to go to sleep. That's kind of what it feels like. And you'll have confusion too. Or you laying your body down to go to sleep and it deciding, like one girl on the bipolar subreddit, and this was people, hey, newly diagnosed with bipolar disorder. What happened to you? Me, I was found at the grocery store dumping lettuce all over myself. I was convinced that it was the Garden of Eden and that everybody gotten along. And I'm like, oh, I'm in the Garden of Eden, you know, like, and everything was all love and wonder until I found myself waking up in the mental institution the next day. So, along with the girl who drowned in the water tower, and then a recent bipolar death. One, I think his name was Kyle, and he climbed into an engine because his plane, he fell asleep and his plane was taking off, and then he hopped up out of his sleep to try to catch the plane taking off, and he broke through the exit and he hopped into the engine, I guess, of the plane and died there. There was also bipolars who gotten saved, like this one guy who got up in the middle of the night and started driving in his car. And he said he was driving to the sun to see God. God had called on him, and he was going to drive to the sun to see God here. I'm not ready to share my bad episode. Like, you know. I don't want to freak people out about me. It's like, you know, but I'll share other people's, and you could probably search the bipolar subreddit, but that's how a lot of them went. You'll wake up and just do something wild and crazy. There was some bipolar who was dumping ketchup all over herself in the McDonald's and stripped naked and completely, and this is the crazy part, a lot of people, they are not on drugs when this happens. They are half asleep, half awake. And a lot of you would rather lie that you're on drugs than be embarrassed when they tell you that you have a mental health disorder. Like, that was not the drug. Some people might mistake their first manic episode as them getting their weed laced, and then the doctor is going to have to tell you that no, there was nothing in your weed that made you do that. it's your lack of sleep, and then they'll talk to you about symptoms leading up to then. Another way that people get diagnosed with bipolar number one disorder is they might be prescribed antidepressants for being depressed or having some depressive order that it like requires hospitalization. You'll just notice, like, dang, I can't do anything. Like, all I want to do is sleep. Hypersomnia, like I said, it'd be another sleep disorder too. Once you're sleeping for like 15 hours a day and you're still tired, and you know, like, I'm going to the hospital because I don't know, like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I've had episodes that I've been sleeping for like 15 hours a day. That's another reason I'm prescribed Adderall, not just ADHD, but the hypersomnia and wanting to just nod off. Like, I used to just like, oh my goodness, like want to sleep, 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 like double socks, just rolled up in blankets, like, and pillows, like for like 15 hours a day. Somebody in my family used to say, I don't understand why you're that tired. And mind you, I did have a rough life, and it's just me taking care of it. But I'm like, maybe I was incredibly tired, incredibly drained hair. Like, that's how, and it's like, who it can be more physical depression than you actually feel mental depression. The first time I ever felt mental depression truly was on the Mirena IUD. That's the only time I had those truly irritable thoughts, not liking people, feeling uncomfortable at life, bleeding for like 3 months straight. It was just weird. They're like, like, and then, oh goodness, like, here, but during that, it can be hard to notice. It's just like you feel so slowed down. A lot of people diagnosed with bipolar disorder have slow voices. There's a song by Mickey Avalon called Jane Fonda, I believe, and then one of it, I think he says, so I don't remember the line, but all I remember is he says she was a manic depressive. Very impressive. Tasted like chicken that was lemon scented. But the way he slowed the voice down made me realize that, all right, yes, that's a part of it. And then you got people like the Clear Eyes guy. When people sound like that, it might be a good chance that they're bipolar. I don't want to throw all slow talking people under the bus, that and people with pressured speech too. Those who talk like a mile a minute and like bite their teeth and stuff like that. They could also be like, these are good indications, just in case you want to stay away. No, I'm joking. But I don't know. I feel like that's it, you guys. Maybe I'll take a deeper dive into it. That's what I want to get out my head, like the dark web. I was gonna say a lot of other things I found on the dark web, but I'm like, let me slow that down, like, because I want to keep this YouTube. I want to see what I could say, can't say, do say, don't say. But thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Tell me what you think.